Hello, namaste, welcome to 10%. So today we are going to discuss about how to implement the lean manufacturing or how to create the future state map. So the lean manufacturing was a concept derived from mainly the Toyota production systems. It is a optimized way of productions through eliminations of the waste. So it mainly focus on three things, that is highest quality of the product, lowest cost to produce it, and shortest lead time. So this all can be done through eliminations of the waste, which is called muda. Muda is a Japanese term for the waste. So if you want to produce any product with very low cost but of highest quality, and supply it to the customer very rapidly, then you need to implement or follow the lean manufacturing. Before going into the lecture, I would like to let you know that all the concept, all the information has been taken from the book Learning to See by Mike Rother and John Suggs. So if you want to go into the great deep understanding, I request you to read this book. And also there are some assumptions I have done or made while making this video. You guys know about the basic understanding of value stream mapping, that is all the process, supplier, customer, like inventory, cycle time, overtime, total lead time, total value added time. And also you guys have data required to uh, calculate some of the thing which will be needed in the lecture. So there are mainly 8 guidelines to implement the lean manufacturing, and I suggest you to follow all the guidelines in the systematic order, so you guys have a very smooth understanding of the lean and very smooth following of the lean. So our first guideline is how to produce to the talk time. First, take time. What is the take time? Take time is total available time per shift divided by total demand per shift. Means it's give and the time required for each product need to manufacture. So it is kind of the reference time, and every productions need to be produced below the take time. Let's go with the example. Suppose if you have a demand for day is 2151 is your demand, and you are producing 3 shifts, so your demand per shift is 717, and you have each shift of 7 hour. After all the meeting, all the lunch, you have 7 hour per shift to produce any the product. So your take time will be 70 into 60 into 60, converting into second, divided by 717 demand per shift. You will have 35.15 second. Means every product need to be produced within 35.15 seconds. So this is a reference time. So your first step is used to find the take time for your production line. And our next steps or guideline is creating a finished goods supermarket, or producing and directly giving it to the customer or directly to the shipping. So there are two main things you can do after you produce any product. Either you produce and directly give to the shipping, means no any inventory between the delivery and the finished productions, or you can create a finished good supermarket. Means whenever the when the product is produced, you create the inventory for them and put in the storage area before going to the shipping. Sorry. And what the lean says that before going into the lean manufacturing completely, we suggest you to make a finished goods supermarket. Then when it become more systematic, then you can go to shipping. So you have to determine which you want to go first, but our recommendations is following the finished goods supermarket. And since the lean is against inventory, so you cannot create the big size inventory, so we recommended mainly at least 30 days of forecast to make a supermarket finished goods supermarket size. So you have to do this thing, or you have to decide in the second steps. So our third guideline, third step is why to introduce a continuous flow. Continuous flow is one of the main concept of lean manufacturing. Every product need to flow continuously to reduce the lead time. So in example, you can see there are three processes A, B and C, but however there is inventory in between a process, so this is not a continuous process. In continuous process there need to be no inventory in between a process. So when you go to the next picture, you can see the A, B, C, they are combined and there is no inventory in between a process because the raw material is processed one product at a time and creating a finished good inventory only. This is a continuous process, and we want you to use or develop this kind of the continuous process to make our productions very fast. However, you cannot combine every process to make a continuous process. For example, you have the 6 processes with different cycle time. So here you cannot combine all the 1 to 6 process and make a continuous process because the process 1 has a very low cycle time. However, other process has almost like near to the tech time cycle time. So here you can combine 2 to 6 process as a continuous process, but 1 not as a continuous process with them, because if you combine 1 with them, then your process 1 will be underutilized. However, other process will be utilized efficiently, and but not the process 1. So you have to determine the things which process we can combine and make a continuous process. That is major like steps for creating a future state map. So our fourth step is supermarket pull systems. Since I already told you about the supermarket, supermarket is nothing, just inventory stock up, like a storage area. So there are main 3 area where you can create the supermarket. One is the finished good, means when all the process has been done and final product is produced, that is the finished good, we can have a supermarket for them. And the second is raw material, means before processing a product we can have also the inventory or supermarket for them. And third is when you have some process are very slow or some process are very fast, so we cannot combine them, so we can create a supermarket in between a process. And here one process is customer to the next process, and the supermarket size should not be very big, they need to be very small, mainly able to supply the product up to 1 or 2 hours. This size need to be there. So you have to determine where you want to put the supermarket pull system. So our fifth process is making a single point as a pacemaker process. Pacemaker process is here like a leader that control the whole process, means whatever the process below it will be controlled by the pacemaker or like a leader. So here you can see there are 4 different processes, and in the top there are inventory in between the process, that is supermarket in between the process. But here in the bottom, after process 2 there is no any supermarket. So as I have already told you, one of the basic guideline is every process after the pacemaker need to be continuous process. So in first You can't make one as a pacemaker because after that there is a supermarket, again supermarket. So in the first we can make the process 4 as a pacemaker because after that there is no any supermarket. However, in the second diagram, after process 2 there is no any supermarket, means first in first out FIFO lane is there, and so there is no any inventory stock in between the process. So we can make process 2 as a supermarket, sorry, pacemaker, or the leader of the process that control whole the process after that. However, we cannot make process 1 as a pacemaker because there is inventory. Also, we cannot make process 3 as a pacemaker because above that there is a process 2 who is also continuous with process 2 and 3. So the process 2 will be pacemaker here. So when you make a continuous process, in a fifth guideline you have to determine which will be the leader that control the whole process.